justice for all. I'm here. PW here. Tim is here, whether he's in or not. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? With a motion to approve the agenda was presented. I will second. All in favor? Aye. Hello. Approval of minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes of the company. Second. All in favor? Aye. Hello. Department had to wait till a joint meeting. Let's move forward to individual claims. Make a motion to approve the claims. 764 7/2004. Second on favor. Aye. Payroll. Make a motion to approve payroll. I'll second. I report collections. Make a motion to approve the report of collections from the health department for May of 26th. I will second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Rich. 39. That's the thing. And.
Sure. I'm here tonight for your consideration.
Yes. Please. For Kim's sake, please leave the line.
Hi, I'm Katie Reichert from USI Consultants here tonight to present the LPA consultant contract for Bridge 39. This is the federal aid bridge project. In the amount of $602,150. This is the 80/20 federal aid bridge project. This is the PE portion of the project. It was awarded federal funds this spring. All portions of the project are funded with that 80/20 grant money. So it was approved by NDOT within the last couple of weeks, so please continue to approve of that.
Questions? Bridge 39, so everybody knows, is on County Road 900 south over Sugar Mill Creek. The motion to approve Bridge 39 contract. Say it. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Open hearing for the subdivision control ordinance that I'm showing 605. And I will open the floor to public comment. I mean, it's posted on the website. Saying only went over the. You have to wait until 6:06, something you show a different minute. So there it is. Show it closing at 6:06. Can I get a motion to approve the ordinance? I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision control ordinance is written. Second, in favor. We will leave public comment for the joint. Can I get a motion close? Make a motion to close the commission meetings. All right, call order the joint meeting for June 15th.
And call to order the meeting of the county council portion of the joint meeting. Let's see, I am here, Jeff Fisher.
Here.
Denise is not. Dudley is not.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry, you snuck in. Thank Dudley is here. Jeff Barber is here, Jim McKee is here, and Todd Haig is here. It's here.
Yes.
Ethan's online.
I did have a motion to approve the agenda. Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Well, second. All in favor. Aye.
Approval of the agenda as presented. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Jim McKee. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dudley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
All right, let's go to department head, Wayne, other than what we're going on here, and yeah.
I had a question if you guys had a chance to have your meeting, we'll get back to me. About 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry, Wayne, I missed that. Did you?
What I brought up 2 weeks ago, we were supposed to have a little meeting and then get back to me. Is that gonna happen or? Have you had a chance to talk yet?
This was on. Salaries, so, you know. I have not had a chance, I apologize for that. I do believe it's on everybody's mind, but we just haven't had an opportunity to have a discussion about it.
I've been in here 6 months now, just kind of want to do a little review. At the beginning of the year, annual service gave back $200,000. The billing Dudley is got $70,000 in collections for this month. And we're just now halfway through the month, so I think it's starting to kick off. Like they were telling us it was going to. Had accounting service get hold of me. And some paperwork had been filled out wrong in 2024. I went ahead and corrected that, and we're gonna be getting $40,000 back. 26,000 from the federal government, and then 14,000 from the state as a subsidy. For Medicare. It looks like the schedule is doing its job. We're gonna have about maybe $200,000 left over again this year. Last year was 100,000 from an operating budget that was turned in, and 100,000 from payroll. This year, it looks like we're gonna have close to 200,000 left over in payroll. I don't. Also, the striker deal that I was able to work for $100,000 less than the previous administration. But I don't know how much of that can be turned in because the budget was set for the fuel and utilities and the billing that changed, and the medical supplies this year are gonna be over budget. But that's gonna be in budget, but I might have to pull it from other accounts. I don't think we're gonna go out of budget like any additionals, but I do feel like I'm gonna have to move some money around. Because fuel's out crazy, medical supplies is crazy, and utilities is crazy, so. And then with the billing, I didn't know how you guys wanted to do the billing. I'm moving money from top maintenance and some from equipment because of the striker deal that I negotiated down. We have a little bit in there. Some of that I want to save to try to help with the fuel and the utilities and over, everything's gonna be over. But 20,000 of it, I'm gonna move to the insure to try to carry the billing, but it's not gonna be enough. And that's the 6% of what we're bringing in. So it's a good thing. I think the more money we have to move to that is actually a good thing, because it means that we're bringing in more money, so. I put in for 2 transfers today. From 4,500 from top maintenance and 20,000 from equipment, but it's not gonna buy us a real long time, so I don't know where you want me to move the money from or
Okay,
whatnot, so. If you guys get a chance to talk about that, also let me know where you want me to try to that. I don't know if general fund can do that, or I'm not sure exactly how that's going to be.
because you see where you're going to need extra money for the billing side of things, correct?
Yeah, it's the 6%, and so if we bring in 2 million instead of, that we're gonna need. $120,000. And I just don't have that in. So there's 6 months, let's say we bring in a million, we're gonna need $60,000. I'm moving 25,000 about. That I could try to give up, I may after we come back a little more later.
Right,
But I'm trying to buy some time for you guys, so if
Okay.
we can figure out if it comes from general fund or whatever, I don't know if that's the appropriate for that, so.
okay. I think it's pretty normal to do it in increments as you need it, and so, I mean, we're not concerned about that. So.
Well, this is the only one I can probably do internally.
Okay,
I just so I'm not very good.
okay,
You guys have any questions for me?
thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate everything. Do you have any memos? Jason? You have anything? Yeah.
Last week's storms hit us pretty hard with about this well in Bird, not very Covington, so we are still on cleanup. All the roads are passable and open, we just have some touch up we need to do, especially on the gravels. We had a couple structures that got taken away from the storm, partial of the road and partially section of the road got taken away as well, the line broke. I've been working with, I met with Cameron Seymour last week to get an idea of, he's gonna get a report, a hydrology study, and see what kind of structures he would recommend putting back in there. As at this time, I don't want to cross anything. Tina's been working with me as far as trying to get some help in the state as far as disaster relief or anything like that. So we're going documenting everything. She's gonna send stuff in with that, I believe. So we'll see if we can get anything. As soon as I get some prices back, I will let you guys know. And we'll go in there, but our bridge inspection started this week. I know our roadsides and brush are getting out of control. Our new mower should be here Thursday, so we'll have that out and going. You know, he was trying to pick up in the storm, so that's about it.
Well, we appreciate all the efforts.
Well, I'd like to thank dispatch and the sheriff's department and team for all their help as well. They really pulled together and helped us all out, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Kim, do you have anything? Mr. Crowd, you're up.
The only thing I have is vehicles. We met with Enterprise. I always learned with Enterprise. We approached this years back and Enterprise didn't get at least package vehicles back in 2021 when we approached it now in 10. After sitting down with them, if we buy our cars outright, they're roughly 52,000 and some change, plus another 15,000 for outfitting. So we were looking $68,000 time we get one on the road. And we typically buy 4 a year. So right now we're setting at where we could potentially replace 6 after sitting down with Enterprise. What they do is they manage our vehicle fleet for us. So they would contact me every quarter or every 6 months and say, where are these vehicles at on mileage? And they want to try to get something moving when they hit about 80 to 90,000 miles. So that way the wholesale value is coming back to us. Is worth something. So right now they've done some figures for us and they would like to replace 6 vehicles if we go with them. 4 of my vehicles have over 100,000 miles on them. The other ones are approaching, well, they're in the 80s. So they would be approaching by the time we get vehicles. I'm sure they'd be approaching 900,000. And it's about $16,000 per vehicle. One of these is on those. Basically, like I said, like this year we'll replace 6. Next year it could be 1 or 2. Next year, you know, 3. It's going to depend on the mileage per year. But with us owning our vehicles now, when they wholesale those for us, they put that back onto the lease program. So like this year, getting 6 new vehicles cost us about $46,000. Get 6 new vehicles. Then next year, you know, obviously that price for those vehicles would go up to like 96 or 98,000 for the next school years. And then
Per year.
per year, yes. But like I said, right now, if you order 6 new vehicles in a year, probably well over $400,000 a year. With that, so. I just want to know what you guys are thinking as far as do we want to try to go to this lease program, or do we want to continue to buy our vehicles outright?
I have a question. At the end of the lease, do we have a residual payment where we can buy the vehicle?
That I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they want to get them traded back off the wholesale. And then whatever would be the difference in that vehicle would go towards our lease. So,
And what about if we retain one vehicle for transport or transfer? We talked about that.
yes, so I want to keep 3 pool cars. Because obviously, as we know, we hit here frequently. And they're used quite frequently. But the 3 pool cars we have now are 3 of them that would be traded in because they have 100,000 miles. And I have a transport vehicle and Deputy Clausen's truck also have 100,000 on it. So
Mhm.
And you have some
What I
mileage
do
once
is-
you move to the pool, right?
we would move a few of the deputies' Tahoes to the pool to have probably 60 or 70,000 on them, just move them, rotate them, and then they would be the next to go, as we rotate, they'd be the next to set up customers. Try to rotate them 3 into the pool, that way we have decent view.
Okay, so here's what I got. If you buy outright 6 vehicles, you're talking about $414,000. If you lease the vehicles, it comes out to $320,000 over the course of the lease.
Yes, that's what we had figured.
Okay, so you're quite a bit of money. $94,000 difference. Okay,
And the outfitting is built into the lease price. They take them, get them outfitted, they give them to us, and we don't start paying for them until they're on the road.
This is the same structure that Warren County uses, correct?
Yes,
There's
Warren, Vermillion,
And Jason with his equipment.
and
Knew the pickups to the highway were.
it's becoming more and more common. Any questions for me? Ruth?
So the maximum per year is gonna be $96,000.
Yes, on that, so
Yeah,
if you add another one next year, obviously that's gonna go up a little bit. See what I'm saying, like, that's just for the 6 this year, so if we had to trade one in next year with high mileage or whatever, then that would go up 16,000, but they're also on the low end because we own our vehicles now, so whatever they wholesale those for as we trade, that wholesale goes into the fleet to offset costs. So if we get $25,000 out of it, we trade it in or they sell, we're not actually trading it to them, they go wholesale it and then they put that money towards the lease. So basically, while we're rotating out our vehicles, it's gonna be minimal costs until we get where we all lease.
right, but then once we've gotten rid of all ours, it's still on, it's $16,000 per vehicle, so the maximum it's gonna cost is $96,000. If we replaced all 6 in 1 year,
Right.
that we don't know, so, okay.
And Dudley, I did ask if they wreck one, it doesn't cost us a penny, they have another, they drive another one down, drop it off the next day.
Yeah.
At $0, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so the lease includes the insurance on the vehicle?
but we would still cover
We
insurance.
still cover insurance, but like if we total one out, they will find us one to replace it. So
But then our insurance company then settles with the enterprise.
They can talk.
Yeah,
Essentially.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
The motion to approve the lease agreement with Enterprise. Pretty well know what I'm saying on that one, so. I'll make the motion to approve the lease agreement with Enterprise. Second, all in favor? Aye. Vote. Transfer items.
Transfers ambulance, $24,777.85. $4,777.85 from pot maintenance to insure billing. 20,000 from equipment to insure billing. Does anyone have any questions on the transfers?
That is what you explained to us, so.
That's gonna pay for the 6% of what we're bringing in now to the new billing. And Trizetto's letting us out of. We're done with that for this month, and the other two are done with that in December.
Any questions? Motion made by Jeff Fisher. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Todd Haig. All in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries. 6-0.
Can I ask a question about the enterprise?
Yes.
Since we don't have a line item for that, are we gonna take it out of? Since we budgeted for 2 vehicles out of county farm, will that enterprise bill be paid out of that?
I would say so, and we also budgeted out of in cap on the automobiles in Riverboat. Mhm. Riverboat, we budgeted 55,000, and we also budgeted out of Cume Cap Development 55,000.
And my recommendation, we take it out of Cume Cap and Riverboat before we take it out of county farm.
Agree with that.
Are there stipulations on the county farm, what we can take?
No, but it's budgeted, but more than what this is gonna be, so.
Mhm.
And Cume Cap's healthier than the Riverboat and the county farm, so I'd come out of that first.
Would you like to take a vote on the? Of course, we don't have to, do we? Yes, we do. We have to take a vote to where to take it out from, don't we? No, we don't. Because we budgeted it. Does anyone else have any questions on the leasing? Okay, let's move forward.
Did everyone look over the websites? 2 proposals.
Yes, I did. I like Civic Plus. I like how it's set up. I think it's more user friendly,
You
and I think it's more friendly with the staff.
can like Civic. What's wrong? I would prefer Civic.
And does this come with the mobile?
No, so Civic, that's the big difference. Civic is all done through the website. So you sign up, you get, notifications through the website. You don't have to download another app to do so. The website itself is essentially the app.
The website is.
I didn't see it in
You
the literature, so I
Yes.
wasn't sure.
You create a login and a password and set your notification phone number, how you want to be notified, email, phone number, whatever, and then you select from there what you want to be notified about. So if you want to be notified about meetings only, special meetings, anything like that, you can filter through how much you want to do instead of getting notified and bombarded with everything. And it's a lot easier to find everything.
Will, obviously, the website will be much upgraded.
Yes.
Experience.
So if you don't have computer at home, you can, all you can get is just the notices on your,
You know, you can actually look at everything on your phone. That's on the website.
You don't need an app, you just use your browser to go in and
go
go
out.
and log into the website at that point in time.
I kind of like an app better, but
I know,
that's my preference.
me too. But as long as I have the capability of on my phone setting a tab for it, save it, you can just click on that and it opens right up every time. So,
Will that have links to like the different departments too? It's easier for our websites to be found.
Yes, okay. Yes.
Well, the department has to be able to update the,
Yes.
when you're inside.
Yes,
Yes.
we can give, I believe it's 10. Well, every department will have access to what you need, yes. I think it was 10, so we're good, yeah.
and I think this is what home pages is.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Not sure because they're, and. There's a they may be, you know, the other ones, but. It comes with pretty steep costs. For a little while.
Does the public have access just like we do now to get in to look at it? Look at.
Yes, the public will have access just like we do now. But
Only better.
hopefully better than you do now, I should say that. It'll be a lot more user friendly and not as cumbersome to find. Things.
Questions?
Is that another question?
Yes, but
In trying to research things in the past. You had to go to YouTube to find video of meetings. Is that part of this website now, or do you still have to go to YouTube and try to find it?
there should be, with the new website, there should be all,
All the videos should be linked through the website, so you can go to the website. Click on this meeting and it'll take you to YouTube to watch the full that video.
So if we want one for 2020. We can, on this website, and find, and click the link,
yes.
and it should be able to get to.
My suggestion is to go look at Tippecanoe County Government. Theirs is done by Civic Plus. If ours may not look identical to theirs, but it will give you a rough idea of what
How
ours could possibly look like. Yes. I use it all the time. It's great.
it.
Yeah.
I'll entertain motion to proceed with Civic Plus and starting the web development.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The information report. That's just us, so. Now we're going to.
Got a question, Carol?
Now, what's the additional cost for this website?
And it's $19,481 to get it set up, and then it's $5,500 a year annually.
Yes. And that's taking everything taking all of our information that we already have, putting it in, building the website. And then the $5,500 a year is to maintain the website, keep adding the additional videos, the additional, anything additional we may be doing in the future, make it available. For everyone.
Versus what we're paying now.
What are we saying, the website was. Pretty sure that's developed, coming over on the Titanic.
7,500 is what's budgeted.
Yeah,
But it's awful.
I think it's pretty close to that.
It's-
7,500 is what's budgeted for the current website there. The new one will be 5,500.
It would be a $19,481 development fee, and then $5,500 a year. We've got budgeted $7,500 for the current website. Say that was the.
I'm assuming they're lower small.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He's got, Civic is out of Indianapolis.
Yeah, Civic's out of Indianapolis.
They have.
What do you think? Council, what do you think about the website? Proposal?
I think if Kim wants it, she's the one using the post, right?
I didn't look.
Our commissioners already voted to do it.
it is a lot more
I mean, other
user
than
friendly.
Right.
I think it'll help other people too, see, upload more information, everything.
Well, we'll have to.
Well, 1%, so. Yeah. It's not 20.
Good. Can I get that? Approved.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve Baker Tilly information report.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. All right, well, you're up.
Thank you.
Yep. No, I got a couple trees down. You fell down in that storm.
That's right.
Thank you. Yep. Yes, thank you.
Well, just a quick introduction. I know that some of you guys, my name is Blake Show. I co-own Hoosier Associates with my brother Taylor. We're a family agency for the past 60 years owned. We have an office right across the river in Williamsport and Fowler and Kentland. A couple months ago, we were reached out and said, hey, you know, we've got this situation. Can you come in and take a look at it and see what we can do or help out or suggestions? And we met with several of you all and a lot of guys out here. I'll miss a couple, but this is a big undertaking. You know, Kim dealt with a lot of emails back and forth that I greatly appreciate, and Kathy and Aaron helped, and Sheriff Holt and Deputy Kraut and Jason. They scheduled their appointments around us, and we had two companies come out here and just review, inspect the county to see if there's a solution. So we have two options. I think one option is better than the other, but we have two options. So in that second page there, the coverage options, the first column, I tried to make this as easy as I can. I know there's gonna be a ton of information. So kind of after we go through it, the kind of review summary, I just had bullets to make it easy for us to kind of look at it. But your current insurance company is EMC. They handle all the property and the liability. Workers' comp is through Indiana Public Employers Practice. IPAP is what they call it. Vast majority of workers' comp is done by IPAP through the municipality. They do a very good job in that situation. Law enforcement, we knew we had to take a separate policy out. I put not sure for kind of the landfill. I know EMC's been on your policy for a long time. Laws have changed, and when you talk about pollution in the insurance world, a big red X comes up and we step back. So we've got a solution, but I'm not gonna be able to speak. If you said, hey, if EMC is gonna cover this, I can't speak on behalf of that. And then you have an umbrella. Option 2 is one of the carriers that we come in. We have Travelers who's gonna take care of the property and the liability. IPEP, like I said, cyber, we kind of talked a little bit about that in kind of meetings. It's this policy that I think we gotta have. And I'll stop there and I'll go further. Law enforcement, Travelers looked at it with the guys and went through it, and we're good there. The umbrella limit, Travelers is only authorized in Indiana to write 5 million. Tort law with bodily injury that municipalities cause is $5 million. So it all happened when they had the concert down there in Indianapolis at Sugar Land, and they have that tornado storm come through and all those individuals. So the municipality causes injury for that event, it's capped at 5 million. That one individual can only get 750. So that's that threshold. I got a solution if we want the additional amount, but we can talk about that down there. Bliss is really kind of the same thing. Bliss doesn't do the property. Chubb is one of the biggest property carriers. They've been in insurance, one of the first insurance companies that started. So that's kind of the columns that we're going to work off of, and I'm going to hit the bullets. And if something comes up, just raise your hand and say, hey, what about this or that? And I'll answer the best I can for you guys. So on the next page is the building limits. I pulled the statement of values and I adjusted a couple buildings. I'm gonna call it the correction building in Petersburg, and I call it the restoration building. It's just the next building on the other side of the block. I lowered that limit down a little bit. Kind of felt that they were a little higher than maybe what they should have been. And if something happened to them, we're probably not going to put a 2-story brick building back up again. But I did add our very expensive grinder that's not attached to our jail. And to keep Jason happy, I know Bonnie's going to want her air conditioner little shed, so I added that as well. So building limits are pretty close. I just made some tweaks and picked up a couple of buildings. I think one of the biggest difference is the contents. As you see, I'm about $1.7 million higher. Where I came from is courthouse. I increased the contents almost $1 million, or excuse me, $500,000. Ambulance building, I increased 300. And over at the jail, I increased almost $700,000. Those 3 buildings have a lot of stuff in it and are really expensive. And those are kind of the breadwinners with the income driven factors that we need to have. Valuation, everybody talks about replacement costs, and it's common. Hey, I'm only gonna replace it to whatever the value is. So that's extremely important that we have this courthouse valued as close as we can to rebuild it. We're not gonna be able to go over that limit. Nowadays, you're going to hear non-wind hail and wind hail. It's the thing of the future with insurance. So non-wind hail is going to be your fire, your vandals, your busted pipes, are going to be your major ones. You see your deductibles right there. Chubb's doing 10,000. I'll talk about, hey, we look at going higher, but I'll say it now. Most of our claims are going to be wind hail. Buildings that we have are brick veneer, metal sidings, straight line lens, minus what we just experienced in Benton County, not going to affect these type of buildings. It's going to be what happened in Counts when the tornado came through. So with the wind hail, your current carrier does a 1% of the highest value building at that location. So take the courthouse, and you can see in the next one, it's at 27 million. So we have a claim, a wind or hail claim, see what our deductible would be. I took the jail, the EMS, their ambulance, just because they're the next highest value buildings, and more than likely those 2 guys' buildings are going to get hit than probably all 3 of these. So you're looking at just that $300,000 for deductible. Moving over to travelers is one flat deductible. $50,000. Whether all 30 of our buildings get hit or just those two, it's a flat deductible. Chubb does a little different, they do it per location, still not bad, I think that's gonna be a thing too. So if you took those two, it'd be $100,000, which sure beats the other option. Maximum wind deductible, I just took all the buildings and said what it would be cost. I know not all of them are gonna get hit, but that's just something to look at. Earthquake, every company's kind of filed differently. And it kind of depends on what their threshold is. EMC has a $25 million limit. Travelers and Chubb just do a $5 million threshold. Business income, and it's also an extra expense, is really not going to be super important because all our income comes from the taxpayer base. So we don't really lose income. It's, hey, we now need to rent a place for the sheriff or the EMS. Well, now we need to rent some hubs for the girls or everybody here to work, so we can still operate the courthouse and daily functions. So that's where we would eat in a lot of that threshold of that money is, hey, we're renting things. Or we've got overnight vehicles or equipment to get back going. You have it with EMC. I just couldn't tell you what the exact number is. The number you see there is what we use for our other counties as well. Contracts for equipment, met with the guys, I greatly appreciate it because it was, hey, I pulled the asset list, kind of hodgepodge the policy together. And came up with, hey, this is what the highway department is, this is what the jail is, so I got those lists to those guys. Feel real comfortable, I'll tell you, next year, I'm gonna sit here and say I'm really, really comfortable. After a year of kind of getting things together. But we're a little light on the EMC side, and I picked up quite a bit of additional coverage and equipment. A lot of that equipment is going to come from the small tools. I know it takes a lot to ensure or fill those ambulances with all that inventory in there that's going to take quite a bit of money to replace. The equipment valuation is it's replacement cost on EMC, but the cutout is, hey, we're only gonna pay up to that value. Got a new paver at 300,000, they're only gonna pay 300,000, they're not gonna pay for a brand new paver. What the other two options is, hey, the paper's got 100 hours on it, kind of like if you're trading a vehicle. What can we get to replace the paver at that use cost? I don't think a huge issue, but that's just a difference. Tools, like I said, I added quite a bit of small tools for the highway department, the sheriff, the ambulance. These guys carry the bulk of the small tools, defibrillators, and those types of things. That's a lot to digest on the property. Good there, go so far. Crime employees, dishonesty, I really won't spend a lot of time. We used to have a lot of that with people with money. A lot of times we don't have that, and now the state board accounts and their procedures, it like really eliminates this. On the second page is the liability. We're negligent, we did something wrong. EMC and Travelers does the 1 million, 2 million. Bliss does a nice feature, and each section of the policy has its own limits. So Bliss you would have that total $5 million, and if we had an auto accident, we would have $5 million to use. If we turned around and had an accident with the pavers, we'd have another $5 million. So they column their liabilities, which is really nice and a positive. Medical payments, we're seeing more companies kind of go away from that, and that's going to be no fault. Hey, I just slipped over my 2 feet. I did nothing wrong. The courthouse was fine. I just missed the feet. The rugs tore up, or the floor's wet. Hey, it's our fault. We're negligent. Then we'd pay that. Abuse and molestation. That limit is a little lower for Travelers, and honestly, that's going to be a super fix. It's just going to be a webinar or some kind of training, and next year it'll go back up. So not an issue, not a huge issue there. They did have you charge for a special event. I don't know what that special event was, but I don't think you guys did any special events, so I wasn't too worried about that. The nurses is a little different, and if I lose you here, I'm gonna do my best not to. So we have a separate nurse policy, and when Cat Kelly called out why was it, then I realized we were by county for several years. And we have Warren County and Fountain County together. Well, Warren County's insurance didn't want to cover Fountain County, so we got a separate policy now. And it covered the nurses if something were to happen. So that was with Markel. You got a limit of $500,000, you have $2,500 deductible if we did something wrong. Your health department runs just like every other state's health departments. It gives immunizations, it gives the shots, it does the records. Now, we're not doing any autopsies, we're not doing any surgeries, okay? So what that coverage form change means is what you have now is if you had a claim, we would cover anything from 2002 to right now. Anything prior to that, okay? If we went with option 2 or 3, we would lose anything prior. And we would be moved forward with any claims or occurrence that happen when we issue our new policy. There again, I got a solution. But we should know if we gave somebody a shot or an allergen kicked in by now, if we gave the flu shot or any of those normal vaccinations that our health department does. Good there. Hopefully that was public officials, employee practice, public officials protect you all and our boards. Hey, something comes up. We need to jump on it. We have a problem. Obviously, documentation. Consulting the town's attorney is obviously the go-to, and I know you guys do a great job with that. Only difference is on the deductible, not a huge swing there. I think as travelers gets more comfortable, we implement some stuff. I can see it going down, but I'll be honest, we're seeing a lot of those claims pop up. Bliss only goes with the retro date. Bliss will only go back 5 years. That's just one of their things. That's all they write is municipalities. So it's not something that's uncommon where it shuts the door for them. That's just how they're filed. So I always want to put that out. Employment benefits, hey, an employee comes in or their spouse or their kid and we forget to add them. No real big issue there. We've got coverage if something happens. On the next page, any questions on those things? The law, I know we got a separate policy. 2 separate policies. We picked up the $10 million. Like I mentioned before, travelers and Bliss will cover that. We won't need that separate policy. With having just kind of a couple pages, I had the big exclusion was that self-inflicted injuries. I know it's small and it's crazy and we had an inmate decide to keep sticking her finger into the toilets and we had to be amputated. If that happened on this watch, it would not have been covered. It's right there. The deductible obviously is quite a bit less with travelers and even more with Bliss. Once again, I think as we just push past those incidences, it'll get better. Those guys do a great job, and I know Aaron and Kelly have heard me say that that's what happens to me when you have a police department. Those situations come up. And both those companies didn't fault one bit. They had no problems with that. So that was the law enforcement. I'm gonna call landfill, closed landfill. Travelers is quirky on recycling centers. I don't know why anytime they do recycling centers, we have to have a separate policy. So we just have we'd have a liability policy for the premise for the recycling center and the closed landfill. If we decide in next year, whatever, we stop collecting batteries, that could also lower our premium down. But I want to get something covered now, so we got going, but that's an option as well. Autos on the next page. Pull the titles, talk to the guys. About 7 autos difference. I think a lot of it may be trailers, but there were a couple vehicles that we picked up that I didn't see on the policy. Really, the only big difference on this is I'm a guy that pushes for that $2,500 deductible. Insurance companies are as well. I know you've got the $1,000 deductible, but we're seeing a lot of counties go to $2,500. And a bumper's gonna cost you $6,000 anyways. And the savings, you're looking at $10,000 to $14,000 in savings. So that, I mean, that just makes up, you have a lot of glass claims or a lot of deers hit to offset, and you have to do that every year, so. Like I said, I like to push for that $2,500 a ton. Workers' comp, it'll just be a policy standalone with IPEP. So that's why you see a liability limit at 5 million. I mentioned kind of what we talked about. I know maybe nobody's ever said this, but the last January, or this past January, I said the last county was the best county that had for the score, the experience mod that you have 0.67. Now you have now beat that. You now have the best county insurance score. And all that means is your guys are saving a ton of money because of how the department heads are handling things. The safety, all those procedures in place, you're saving a good amount of money because you're at 0.6 or 0.76. So that's a great job. I know they're gonna have claims. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. Jason's guys are gonna trip and fall, they're gonna cut their themselves. Deputy Crowden, Sheriff Holden, their guys are gonna get hurt, but to have that score is phenomenal. So great job to those guys. The reason I increased the premium there is because I gotta increase the liability limit. And I'm guessing, I don't have control of that policy, so I just kind of used what I've used on other counties and took that. On the umbrella, like we mentioned, your EMC does a $10 million, Travelers only has that 5 million. So you're looking at about a $5 million difference. We can solve that problem if you want, but I just broke it down. We don't have to worry about the umbrella going with cyber, because that's gonna be a standalone policy there. All right, on the next page is the cyber. You have a very basic policy. It's an endorsement, throw in with EMC. I write a lot of insurance with EMC, but you want a full-fledged cyber policy. I'm on board, and we got to have extortion, and I was telling these guys that we paid $118,000 on a cyber policy. The day we met, in here, St. Joe had a cyber attack. So St. Joe County, it's coming, and we're all human, we all make errors. I can click on an email that looks just like something I receive from Kim every day, and I don't look at it right, and bam, they got us. So I think the county really should consider taking out a cyber policy. Probably one of the best parts of that is that PR. What are we gonna do? What do we need to say? Who's gonna be the focal point to talk? When that happens, so that policy is gonna give us those guidance, those guidelines to tell us what we need to do. The one requirement is gonna be the multi-factor authentication. You know, all of us have it on our banks. It rings in your email, pings into our phone, and we get it. We may be able to wiggle around that depending on our software, our security within the county. But that's something that we'll need to address, but it's something that we can definitely overcome. It's not a huge hurdle. And I do think the deductible will change once we kind of address the interface. So with all that thrown in front of you, as your heads are probably spinning. Currently you're looking at paying, I just added all the numbers up at that number right there on that column. You go with Travelers, you're looking at the middle column. And Bliss, you're looking at that one and their rating was higher and it was on the law and that kind of thing. So that's just how they calculate things out. I think they're gonna be a huge player as we move forward, the next 5 years when we look at this thing, but they do a great job. Like we've got Travelers on another county. They've done a great job there. Any questions on that side? And on the next page is just gonna be a quick overhead, so hopefully it wraps everything up in a neat bow for you. So the summary, EMC, obviously EMC has that $10 million umbrella policy. Travelers has a $5 million umbrella policy. If the council wants to add additional $5 million, we can go out and get something. But I wanted to make sure we had something first. The health department, we can look at buying a tail through the current policy for 5 years. That kind of pushes us past, so we've got our current policy in place. And the tail will cover us for the next 5 years. If something happens after that 5 years falls off, we can get rid of it. Or if we wanted to keep paying that current policy, because it's a little cheaper than the tail for next 5 years, we can do that as well. And it's up to you. Like I mentioned, I changed the auto deductibles. I know we do a lot of counties, and my counties are same locations as your guys, so I see glass planes, but I need them. If we go to $2,500 deductibles. Rental's not a huge issue, and I know we just literally just mentioned it. Enterprise can get us a truck back the next day. That's the big one. I mean, those and ambulances you can't get back quick. So that would be a huge add to that is, hey, we hit a deer and totaled it or rolled it. Now we can get a vehicle tomorrow or the next day. So this is gonna take several months to get one of those vehicles. Earthquake, limits higher, like I mentioned, 4.7 abuse molestation, that I'm not too worried about that. We can change that real quick and implement that. Travelers, we did add a couple building coverages. I've got higher, contents limit of over $1.5 million, 1.5 million. Probably the big thing is the wind hail deductibles less. It's easier to budget for $50,000 than it is for $30,000 or more, depending on what happens. We don't have the exclusion to the self-inflicted injuries. Our inventory is higher. We got a couple more vehicles. I think I hit the cyber enough, and there's quite a bit of savings on that. All right, I promise I'm almost done. Mine subsidence, I guess you probably never heard of it. Fountain County, just like Warren County, has had active mines at some point. And you can add coverage if our buildings collapse because there was a mine underneath us. It's all kind of regulated by the government, so the most we can do is $500,000 for a building. But that's an option, you don't have it now. And you can see the premium right there. The fairgrounds, all that's insured, ran by a separate entity and not the county like I thought so. It would be a good idea, and I would highly recommend more so the recovery building, but the tenant to have some kind of contract that we get a certificate in place. So if something does happen, especially in the recovery building, we're gonna use their policies first, and then the counties would be second. Same thing with the tenant and the farmer, and I know it's very unlikely, but that's something special in the recovery. No coverage, I always say pollution. I know Kim emailed me a couple weeks ago. We have the above ground tanks over at Jason. I told her, let's get this done and we'll cross that bridge, but it's just over above ground tanks, so it's a simple thing. Liquor liability, I know you guys don't do it, but we don't have coverage for it. If for some reason the county is going to host an event, just let's talk. And I know I'm the no fun police, bounce houses and all those things that everybody loves. I know it, but we'll talk, we can add some things. And if you do host an event, we'll make sure I have a form for all the vendors to sign. We don't want the county to be reliable for all those vendors out there selling their products. We want to make sure that they're responsible. Ambulances, those are the values. I know if we totaled out one of those ambulances, it's gonna cost twice as much or 3 times as much as those values. For a brand new one. So what we do is we just list that. So if something happened to the 2018, that's the check you're gonna get, minus the deductible. So when we purchase new ambulances, I just ask, hey, what's the total cost of the cot and the lift, if you will, that are attached, and that's the number I get. And that's the number that they'll pay if we happen to total out an ambulance. Blood, I know we're not super worried about, maybe next couple of days, hopefully not. Deductibles, I said 10 and 25. I think you'll see a greater savings of 25, and I honestly don't think you'll see a huge savings because most of the claims are gonna come from one payment. So that would be the savings if you're like, hey, let's jump in and the other thing I know we get at the time is we start attaching equipment onto antennas to help our satellites inside our radios. Just need to know, hey, we don't own the tower, but this transmitter, this responder is ours. We just gotta make sure we list it. Got those covered. Alright, what can you expect from me and Hoosier Associates? I'm gonna sit down and ask him for the title book every year. I'm gonna meet with these guys, the department heads every year. I'm gonna give them the list and we're gonna go through it. I'm gonna stop at I'm gonna stop at all our locations and make sure nothing picks up or that nothing was built or something doesn't look different. I'm gonna sit with or stand with all you guys or the board or however you want and just do a, not this deep of a dive, but a quick snapshot of, hey, here are the claims we had. These are anomalies, here's things we can fix or whatnot. I'm gonna give you a forecast. Bonds, we take care of all the bonds for other counties. I just go around and get all the gals and guys' signatures. Record and take care of there. We'll facilitate either by next summer, travelers will come out and do an inspection or Hoosier Associates will hire a company out of Indianapolis to make sure our values are correct here on the courthouse as well as the jail. Those are two high value buildings. And with the murals, and they're just so specifically built that I want somebody that has the software and then come in and out of buildings and know what they're doing and say, hey, this is what value we need. And something we do too every quarter, I'll send an email to Kim and say, here are some open claims. Here's the closed claims, here's an article that might find interesting that you want to pass on to the sheriff department, council or whoever, just a real quick read, just to add some value and add some, hey, as a relationship driven teams. I'll stop there. No, I show the next steps, but those are kind of just getting signatures and those kind of things. Definitely greatly appreciated. I know I threw a ton at you and I apologize, but hopefully you saw that we like to be thorough and detail as much as we can.
What's a recovery building?
It's the building on the corner of,
It's the old Ben Franklin. Petersburg.
All that recovery.
Community corrections, but why are we insuring it?
We own
That's
the
what-
building. I talked to Danny, they purchased it.
But are the other counties chipping in?
I
Is
have
that,
no idea. We looked it up on Beacon. We
Yeah,
thought it would be a really good location for extension, and that's how we found out that it's listed as Stoughton County on there. And so then I reached out to Danny and said, what's the story with this building?
but the county didn't buy it, it would have been through the community.
It's listed as the commissioners. Yes,
We need to look into that because it's West Central Indiana and there's several counties that the money comes in from the state on that, so.
and I don't remember ever in my time on here purchasing that building. Do you, Jim and Dudley, ever remember?
Their money goes through the county, but we don't have any say on their funding and how they spend their money,
Right,
so.
So it was bought.
They should pay the insurance, like, through their money.
I think we're certainly insuring.
we would, well, I mean, what you could do is have a sign a lease agreement, have Ethan sign up a lease agreement and that they have to insure the building. And we could be adding this additional service and solve the problem.
We're just a pass through though.
Yeah, we're just pass through on the money.
So we'll do a little investigating on that.
Yeah. You should.
Flood coverage, you're just talking the property and the building.
Yeah, I bus, correct, yeah, no, I know people,
Flood coverage.
that's not flood, no, I'm talking. What we saw in Lanesville. Yeah, Wabash River's out.
You don't want to take care of our roads.
I'd love to.
They're county owned. They're county owned.
Wear and tear. That's some drag races out there, South Mountain.
Well, it sounds like we've got a lot to look over. When would you like for us to get back with you?
So whenever I kind of shot as just a target July 1st. Or an effective date, just to get a number or a date, it could be any time after that.
Shoot.
Yep,
Well, we appreciate everything you've done, Blake.
appreciate that. Yeah.
This, I know it's been a big undertaking, so We appreciate all that you've done to present this today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. I brought Rob who's with me tonight. Come on, Rob.
Thanks, Jake.
Look at that.
Still your hand out.
I'm Katie, this is Rob Coop, he's the department manager for our bridge inspection team, so. Not here tonight seeking anything, but June marks the beginning of a new cycle of a bridge inspection, cycle for Fountain County. And as your bridge inspection consultant, we wanted to spend just like 5 minutes or so providing an overview of what that program is and what it means for the county and then what you get out of it. So that's just our intention. We work a lot with Jason and share a lot of information with him, but thought it could be helpful for everybody else to have some of that information as well. So wanted to be able to put faces to names and then make sure that everybody has our information in case you have any questions. So I will let Brad do a deep dive into, or not really a deep dive, because people still like 5 minutes, but then go from there.
So I didn't bring about 6 to get into the, to go back and do that. So one of the things that we do in terms of our bridge inspections is we do the underwater inspections we do. They used to be called fracture critical on like trusses or things like that. Now they're called non-redundant steel tension member inspections or NSTM because they had to make it not simpler. Thank you for the highway. But the other things that we can do, we're in the middle of a transition and they rewrote the codes for how we have to inspect bridges and everything. So kind of in the middle of that, the implementation period from federal highway. And there used to be about 120 data fields that we collect. Now there's about 165 data fields that we collect. They got rid of some, added some, and some different things like that. So all the counties in the state are going through this. We have NDOT worked with NDOT a lot on implementing this and getting all the data accurate. And then hopefully when this is all fully implemented in another like year and a half, it'll make things much easier going forward until federal highway changes their mind. Which they're going to do. One of the things that they're looking at, and NDOT has not fully kicked it in yet, is for a while here, they could do a 48-month inspection on newer bridges that didn't have any issues. They have that back again, but NDOT doesn't want to implement it yet, because they always want to get through the basic stuff, and then they're going to look at doing that in another year or so. So potentially some of the newer bridges could go back out to a 48-month inspection instead of 24. And then obviously if they're in more shape, it drops down to like 12 months, and then hopefully not 6 months. And we had a couple of places where we've had to go out every 2 or 3 months, and you really don't want to do that. Just close the bridge, it's easier. It's that close. So it is, as Katie mentioned, it's 80-20 money. So you guys are only responsible for 20% of the overall thing, and you get reimbursed at 80% from federal highway via NDOT. One of the other stuff that we do, we work with Vialytics on the PASER ratings, and we can take our small structure inventory, which is anything less than 20 feet, and that can be imported into Vialytics via the shape files. One of the things that we have included in some of our bridge inspections on concrete bridge sections, we'll take our UAS, or drone, and go out and do some thermal images and can find the hot spots in like 5 minutes versus going out there by hand, and it takes 3 or 4 hours. So it's look at everything depending on the size of the bridge. And then the other thing we have is if there's timber piles, timber bridges, like the covered bridge or things like that, we have a resistance drill that puts it's smaller than a 1/16 of an inch hole, but it measures the resistance of the wood so you can find rock before it actually starts to collapse, things like that. So it's a lot of fun, and if you're not paying attention, as we found out the hard way, if you drill a hole, take the thing down, you turn the background, look, you're like, where that hole just go, but it just drill. So that's some of the stuff that we do offer. So right now, one of the things that we're doing is we started today with the bridge inspection process of just collecting the data out there on everything. We'll go through that. I know I talked to Jason last week and some tech with the flooding issues and things like that, so we'll take care of that. we'll we probably will not finish this week, we'll probably be back next week to finish things up. But we go through, get everything, then produce a bridge book, which we sit down with him and go over, make sure, okay, you need to replace this year, this next year, and try to do that out as much as possible. And it's either whether it's locally funded, federal aid funded, as Bruce Leon mentioned just further today, so. Then we kind of work on the bridge improvement plan, sit down and say, what can you do over the next, say, 5 to 10 years, obviously knowing that anything beyond 5 years is usually, contingencies are gonna happen, so you never know, but at least program that out so it can be seen, so you can sit down and just can sit down and be like, okay, we gotta do this, 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 and this. And here's the track so we can, continuously improve the bridges, because originally they were designed with a 50-year lifespan. So the 140 bridges we should be doing about 2.5 to 3 a year to catch up with that. Now, the new ones that we designed have a 75-year lifespan, so it does work out a little bit better. Then everybody laughs because the bridges that are over 100 years old. I was like, well, yeah, there's a lot of redundancies back in those, so. But it's all out there, and it takes a little bit of time, but we're glad to help you guys and help Jason with the bridge program.
It was a very speedy overview, but wanted to just have an opportunity to chat with you guys today, and thank you for your continued partnership on the bridge inspections. And an opportunity to chat with you and answer any questions that you might have as we get started on this next cycle.
Fantastic work again.
Thank you.
Nothing but thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Ms. Davis.
New business.
Moving on.
Moving on. Any comments?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, I went to the Indiana County Council State Board meeting Saturday. And just a few bullet points. MUST is Municipal Unit Strategic Task Force. And they want a committee to get together and work on the needs and data for this SB 1 to take effect, to where what your needs, how much you've spent on things, that sort of thing. So this is a committee. And what they were talking about there was not to be in a big hurry to get, and we got to get this done and get it in by December 3rd. Because there'll be data that we'll get, and we'll get clerks at the different municipalities and get the libraries to get that can be useful for that MUST committee. So they can plan kind of down the road for this SB 1 when it takes effect. And have some data to do their budgeting, that sort of thing. They also wanted to make sure that the clerks or the financial officers at the municipalities, the auditor of the county, and 2 council people were on that MUST committee to talk. It isn't, we're not making decisions, you're just getting that data and things put together for DLGA for the last part of December. So it's not a decision-making thing, it's just getting together and working on, hey, where we're going with the lid. So it doesn't have to be right away. Township mergers, DLGF is in implementing point system. And they hope to have the points by for each township in the state by the end of the year to go to the next step. So they're rated it as points, and they're looking at townships that they might be able to merge in that. So they really haven't made those decisions yet. I heard they had, but the way I was taking it, they haven't. So talked about that. They're phasing out the old homestead deduction and phasing in a new homestead supplemental deduction using market data
to affect the debt the deductions. So they're using more, I think Kim's referenced this, more market data on how the AV and that sort of things ends up. So new local income tax structure, I have that right here. This reference. The structure, and I think we've told them this before, is county services. There'll be a maximum we can take out of 1.2% for county services. And the council will decide how much of that will get, how much money that will be. Fire protection and EMS service will be 0.4. That the council and they can take out of the 2.9 total. Municipalities, townships, libraries, bonding review units, 0.2. Municipalities with a population less than 3,500, 1.2. And municipalities that are over 3,500 can opt into the lit tax and do it on their own. And that's 1.2.
Which I don't believe any of the municipalities are above that 3,500.
Yeah, and you can only max out 2.9.
Right.
So that's that, and that's more to come on that. Kim has a program, the lady, I can't remember her name, she had a program, Kim, that you're gonna be able to get. That you can plug numbers in on lit and just see how much, what a percent, what certain percentage is gonna drive the amount of income we're gonna get. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting it. But what reason you're getting it is they don't want any of the council commissioners to have it, just because they could get in there and plug in numbers and it's just it's a liability thing. It's not, and we can sit down with you, we'll run through numbers, but it was amazing what they did to run through numbers for with it. It's a real neat program. Senator Buchanan, Representative Thompson was very they were there. They wrote most of the bills. We're very optimistic this will even be even the playing field for those smaller cities, for example, that weren't getting their fair share of income, which was going to bigger municipalities. So there was a lot of that going on, and they felt like that would even playing field. And there would be some big cities that were going to be sweating it out. So schools carry a lot of debt service. That's going to be harder for them to, the debt service is paid from property tax. So schools have a tendency to, hey, we about pay this bond off just to keep our taxes where they're at and not go down. And then, man, about 5 years later, want to do a bond on a new project. This is how they do it. They just all the time have building projects. One bond goes off, they figure, hey, we need to do some more building project to keep that tax base where it's at. Well, that might be a problem for schools. So, yeah, they just carry a lot of debt, and the legislators didn't like it. So that's just about the gist of it. I mean, they did a nice job presenting things, and I wrote as fast as I could, but it's going to be interesting, not this budget year, but 27 going to 28, or 28, 29, how it's all going to shake out. So
I'm hoping that they discuss a lot of this at AIC
Right.
in September. I'm going to try and make it to that one. I could not make it to this one. I really wish I could have, but I have family.
Just to the council, I feel like that on this must committee. I feel like Dudley needs to be there and Kelly. They just have those numbers quick to where they can plug in with other municipalities. I just think that would be best for the council, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't want to be, they can be more involved in that kind of stuff. We need to know, but it's just getting data and gathering data and working things out. It's not hard. This is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna provide, but you know, it's just working together to get data.
Sounds like me, they collect it all and then they present it to the council.
And then they give it to DLGF to go to the legislators and see if this will work out or not. Didn't talk like there'd be a lot of changes in the next legislation. Some little ones, but this is what the governor wants, this is what the legislators want.
So it sounds like they're also changing the homestead exemption.
Yeah.
Going more with the supplemental.
That's my report.
Okay. Department heads. If you have not turned in your budget, could you please make sure that you get it to Kim by Friday? She has to prepare those for us. And for SBOA or DLGF? DLGF. So please try and get those in to Kim.
Patty message as well, the 25th and 26th is when they're doing the recount downstairs. 25th and 26th of June, yes, that's next, right?
Yeah.
Yes, next week.
Dudley?
Okay, so in 2020, the council passed a resolution to put 0.005 of the Cume Bridge Fund to be used only for the covered bridges. And State Board of Accounts approved it, but they won't let us put a special line item, so we have to figure it out every year when we get Form 22 on the tax settlement. So through last November's taxes, we've collected $268,596.80. And we spent on Cade's covered bridge $205,700. So that leaves us with $62,896.80. Plus whatever, I haven't received the Form 22 yet from the May property taxes, so I'll have to, when I get that, I've got to figure out what the 0.005 is. But as of December 31st, we're at 62,000. Now, Henry Schmidt, Carol Freeze, and Jim Haig took upon themselves, and they worked really hard on the Cades Bridge and got that one done, and they're kind of burnt out. They don't really want to work on the Wallace Bridge, but Dana Harvey, she was at one of our meetings and she talked to us about it. I don't know if she's going to step up and do it, but she did send me a note here. She got an estimate to remove the graffiti on the bridge, removal of graffiti on the Wallace covered bridge, and secure the loose sideboards from the inside. Option to save the integrity power wash except the ends, and option and paint over the graffiti. She's got a quote here of $1,150 from Medcalf, and she wanted to know if that would work or if you want her to get more bids. So I need to know, how you want to proceed on that.
Bid with 1,100 and
$1,150.
There's still 60,000
There's
left in there.
62,000 plus whatever we collected in May on the property taxes. I haven't got that figured yet, so.
And I think the covered bridges are a massive historical piece of the county. Should be worth, it very much worth preserving and saving, so.
So you want me to tell Dana to go ahead and proceed with this? And then, I mean, there's a lot of structural things that are gonna have to be done, but hopefully she's gonna get a committee and they'll work on it like Henry and Carol and Jim did on Katie's grants.
An actual contract or something that we can sign on the 6th.
Okay,
Pat
yeah,
it through.
yeah, she gave me this quote, but
Okay.
I'll get a hold of
A
her.
formal contract deal.
Okay,
We can do it.
Yep.
Meeting the 6th.
Okay.
There's a lot of graffiti on them. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing bad, but it's just. Yeah. Well, it's just like girls and boys. I saw Carver's name on
From 1974.
How would you like me to figure that out myself and since I.
well, just realize when you're making your budget that there's whatever you have in your Cume Bridge, approximately 63,000 of that is only for covered bridge. And I'm looking at the 5 years. It's been anywhere from 25 to 41,000 is what we collect in the May property tax, so there could be close to 100,000 of that that's only can be used for covered bridge. The rest could be for your other. Okay.
Anything else from the
I
council?
can remember driving through that bridge. Driving through it.
You're dating yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, design the old website.
All right, we'll move to public comment. Donnie Martin. Yes, sir.
We might think we should, everybody come up to.
Yeah. Let's make sure we come up to the microphone, please.
What the comment on gravel road there, 300 south, Grand Creek. I've had that property for 25 years and I've had nothing but problems with water, that road. I just wanna see if we can get something done finally. I've got a lot of money spent on that property, the barn, concrete, redoing the beam in there. I got pictures of mud sitting in there. This ain't happened one time, it's happened many times. I'd like to see a ditch put down on the south side of the north side of that road there. They're not farming that. The ditch up to the east of there, the coal goes under the road, that's plugged up. I can just run that ditch straight down, put a culvert across the road right to the creek, solve all that problem.
Good. Jason.
Yeah. I was wondering,
You good? Yeah. We'll look at it.
Just plugged up for 6 months. Okay. Now I got a backhoe, I can dig it myself, dig the ditch, do it all. I'm just tired of waiting on the county to do what they're supposed to do. Paying taxes, I live there, or pay taxes in town, I pay for all this stuff. Nothing gets done. Have you ever called down to the shop? He's talking to you guys, they the same thing I was talking to you guys. I shouldn't have to, we shouldn't have to beg you guys to take care of the road, you know, county road. Nothing get done. That's why I'm here today. I run 2 businesses. I shouldn't have to come down here and beg somebody to take care of stuff. I mean, if you in charge of this, yes, sir, then we need to. I'm down 20. I mean, I have to say, I'm gonna hire me an attorney and find out what my rights are. We do have a right on it. I'm just saying, I'm gonna find out what my rights are, if I make legal action for the money I've lost. That's just how it's gonna be. It's kind of got enough lawsuits against the sound of this. Get ready, I have another something. I appreciate it, get something done.
when we go around talking about them, I'm here every day.
Mr. Allen.
That's it.
My name is Brad, I'm another cattle farm. I have 70 acres of pasture on one side and barn on the other side. I either have to shut the road down for days and hours on end, or I'm up here to see if I could get a culvert put in. If I can run a cattle across the road, or if I can put cattle crossings in, I need to set up a gate and run a cattle between. Because it's with it, all the traffic coming through now. Back when I started, sure, you could open up gates. But now, every time I open up gates, 4 or 5 cars are there, people honking horns, people doing stuff. And I was just trying to get a hose, see if I could get a 5 foot, because it's got a, on my end of my property, it's a big ditch on each side. With a tile in there about that big, right? If I could get a small tile, or if I could put cattle crossings in. So I could work cattle and not have to worry about
Where
traffic.
are you at now?
1550 west, 700 south, England, and I'm trying to run, and I got about 75 cows now, and I plan on by this time next year having about 150 in my running.
I know where we are.
But I mean, it's back in the, when we was. Then, but now you got all these houses and so much traffic and people that. They just don't have no common sense for people, you know what I mean? They're just honking the horns, blowing the horns, and you know how it is. Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you. Thank you.
So I'm Ann Burke, I'm in West Point, and we just wanted to talk to you guys today about the ambulance situation in Attica. Kind of revisit the idea of, the new building. We talked to the city last week and they seemed favorable to our idea, and so I wanted to run it by you guys as well. Basically, we own the building on the east side of, Attica. It is people refer to it as like the old Murphy's car lot. And we talked in the past a little bit about the front space of that for the ambulance, and the city of Attica was, kind of considering some other options, and they run into several challenges there, and so this seems like it puts us back on the table. And basically, we put together a little rendering of what we could do with that space, and that's what that front picture is. It's basically a rendering. We could get 3 doors across the front. Those doors are 10 feet tall, which is the same height as the current ambulance door in Attica. But basically, I'll go through, I made a little list of kind of reasons we think this should be considered. And this is what I presented to the city last week. And again, they seem interested. It is 3,500 square feet of space in that front area. The location of our building is on the east side of the railroad tracks. So it would avoid the problem of the ambulance being caught on the other side of the tracks. We do have direct access to the highway and along the edge of town. So like that's one of the issues they've been running into, because there's like a lot of neighborhoods and things that don't want the ambulance in the neighborhood. So this would be right on the highway. The current zoning is consistent with use. We are interested in long-term lease options with renewals. We are also going to build it out for you guys. And we could do the if we invest the capital to do the renovations. We already talked about the doors. There's a floor plan. I've got a couple floor plans behind that image. One of them just sort of an idea, a concept of what we could do with the space. There's no load bearing walls in that area, so I mean things can be moved around. And then the last page in that little pamphlet here is just the current floor plan, kind of gives the idea where the plumbing is and that kind of thing. So there is existing plumbing, which will allow us to add showers, like kitchen sink, laundry, stuff like that. The electric service is adequate for what the EMS would need. And we could start renovations in 30 to 45 days and kind of estimate once we get going, we could get this done in like 6 months if it's something you want to move on. So I just wanted to put that out there for you guys. I know there was some talk at the city about maybe, and in the past when we kind of brought this the county was maybe gonna pitch in or, you know, do all that, so. So yeah, everybody the information and if you have any questions and I don't think I have my contact on it, but we can be, I know all your emails are. On the website, so I can send out a group email to everybody with our contact information.
We wouldn't, if the ambulance was there, they wouldn't be using all that building.
No, it was just.
They'll just be where the
The
front part.
people, there's like two shops in that building, kind of in the back, and then the front is what we used to call the showroom.
Yeah.
It'll be that showroom area is where we're really, you know, they're just get the front part, and that's the 3,500 square feet. The total building's like 12,000 square feet or something like that, so yeah, this part of it. If you have that parking lot, just seems like it could be a good solution. Avoid a lot of the issues they currently run into and the challenges, so. I don't really know where it goes from here, but. I know the city is happy and so, okay, but you guys maybe can talk to the city and.
I think the last time we spoke to the city, they were looking into an Okra grant, so
Yeah,
in order to get that Okra grant, the grant writer said that only the city could apply for the grant because it's within the city limits. So we would defer to them.
right, yeah, and that sounds fine, I just brought it back up. Cause I don't think they have the grant,
No, not current.
right, so this could be an option, and I know there's been some challenges with the location.
Yes,
Because of,
everybody wants it, but they just don't want it.
so it might be time to reconsider a different.
Right,
different
option,
option.
right.
I just wanna put this out there, and that way it doesn't get lost in the mix.
Right. Right. Definitely food for thought.
We will take it into consideration for sure. Yep.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, any other public comment?
Isn't Attica totally responsible for the ambulance building?
That was a gentleman's handshake about 25 to 35 years ago, that if they provided a building, that would we provide an ambulance and personnel, and so it's always just been that way. There was never anything written down or set in stone, so. But yes, that was always the.
So are we changing that or what?
No.
And it's up there, Wayne, what, 60, over 60% of calls, down to 62, come out of Attica, so that's why there's an ambulance up there. So 62% of the calls for EMS are coming from Attica, so that's why there's an ambulance up there.
After that is from Warren County.
I don't have that number off the top of my head, Carolyn. I mean, that's, well, I ain't got, unless we're getting, I can get that number, Carol, but I don't have it off the top of my head. So, yeah,
This road that Don was talking about, 300 south, may require some engineering, because there are some very old lines that you take. Make a tree right on the corner that's hollow and go fall one of these days anyway, and it could take out major power lines right there, not. But to my knowledge, we don't even have an engineer. We do, where is it? I've never seen it.
his name is Cameron Seymour.
And where is it?
He's in Hillsborough. Yeah, he's
Where is he present?
in Hillsborough.
He lives
He
right.
lives in first.
He lives in the house right behind the station.
Yeah, yeah.
Petersburg.
I've never seen him at a meeting.
He just got hired.
He was here 2 meetings ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, but
At our last meeting.
Cameron's here, yes.
That's might be a good idea to get him involved with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
Jason, you just spoke with Cameron yesterday,
I
right?
used to flood dog.
So,
Yeah. I was over 1,000, but
yeah.
yeah, they put it in while it was at the pilot and all these things, you let it to pipe. That take them 4 years on when it was done. And then. How long you should last?
Anything else, Bill? No. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
I'm Jamie Tatum, I'm a Petersburg resident, and I've been involved with animal welfare for many years. Was don't like to, and I understand that the contract was not renewed with pause and clause, and I don't know details or anything. But I was wondering where the county stands on the animal welfare, and I do have an idea to share. I've seen this in other communities, the jail, assumes the animal control. I think the benefit to that is that it would save the county a lot of money. And it benefits the inmates as well, so it's a win-win. I mean, obviously, you would have supervision, but it's just something that I wanted to share.
As far as a plan. I don't want to say we don't have a plan, but we've discussed a multitude of things. What exactly we want to do, and we haven't really come up to an agreement. How far we want to go, so. I hate to be so vague, but that's about where we stand, so. As far as, just make it clear, you live in Petersburg? Okay, well, Petersburg is in charge of Petersburg. We make that very clear that the county was only doing the county, not the cities or the towns. So that was totally separate. That is still to this day, still the case, so. But it is something we've been discussing. So.
A lot of people know I'm involved, I get calls and emails, texts all the time, and so I just. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Dane Mullen and the New Creek Township. But what I'm gonna come and talk about today is why transparency matters. And as Fountain County is starting to get its feet under itself and lead in some various ways with zoning and somehow we operate. There is one area that we could lead in, and that is how we handle NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. What I gave to our commissioners, it highlights 15 videos that have come off of news wires here in the Midwest, covering how communities are being affected by economic development and how the citizens ending up behind the eight ball. And these projects are miles and years down the road. And then we finally find out about it. And as these communities are trying to fight back, they're coming up against this wall of government officials, county employees that have signed non-disclosure agreements. So those county officials are caught between a rock and a hard place. They're caught between, they've signed a legal document that says, I can't discuss what this company, what it build or whatever has to do. And what their right is to the citizens that elected them, appointed them, or are employing them. And so I wanted to craft for us a kind of a rough ordinance document that we could then start with as a framework and kind of flush this out. Indiana as a whole is sort of in the middle with what is private and what is public. So as I started to look through this and look at what the laws are on the books right now. We have Indiana's open door law, which is IC 514.1.5, which basically states that all government meetings must be open to the public. Notice must be published for at least 48 hours in advance. And even if there's an executive session, the body has to announce ahead of time exactly what will be discussed.
And they have to certify afterwards that they did not go beyond that time. Indiana also has access to Public Records Act, which is 514-3, which therein it lists that what must stay confidential, like trade secrets, medical records, social security numbers, and a list that other governments may choose to keep private, like internal memos with opinions and strategies and records of business negotiations, while negotiations are still happening. But herein is the important part. Once negotiations with a business or a developer are finished, the terms of the final offer of public financial resources must be made public. The secrecy window has a closing point written right into the law. And too oftentimes we hear about the IEDC, which is the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and that what they do is kept in secret because they are negotiating with these companies. So let's say company XYZ want to build a data center, and they want from that county. Well, rather than county first, they go, county, it looks nice and roll over there. They don't have too much on books, and they have all this broadband infrastructure that FinTech went put in. That would be really useful for us. So they go to the IEDC and they negotiate with them. They say, what will you give us to build a data center in Fallon County? Then they come to Fallon County and they say, hey, we got this money, this deal from the IEDC to build a data center in your county. That sometimes makes us feel like we're on the 8 ball. But the laws that are on the books surrounding the IEDC, that area of confidentiality is only with the state. It's not with when they come into that county. And so that's really where a lot of these problems have come in, because the developers come in and they want to start talking and they say, Mr. Rice, we want to build this and we want to sit down and talk with you. But before we do this, we can't tell you everything because it's private trade secrets. And that's where these county officials get in trouble. You end up forcing them into signing an NDA, and then the ball's rolling and we're all cut off. So the proposal that I have put together, it covers and keeps intact what Indiana already has on the books for privacy. So it would cover non-disclosure personnel records, when medical information that are protected by state and federal law, attorney-client communications where the county is receiving legal advice on pending or threatened litigation. The executive session discussions that fall within the specific categories of IC 514, 1.5 to 6.1, such as real property transactions before a contract is signed, or interviews with prospective employees. Information specifically declared confidential by the IEDC under its own state programs, limited to the specific items of the IEDC as marketed and not extending to the rest of the project. The goal is not to eliminate all privacy in government. The goal is to make sure that NDAs are not used to create secrecy where a law is not called for. We don't have anything on the books covering on the solar grids. And as I reviewed the state of Indiana, there is no county that has a transparency law on the books. It's one of those, it's kind of easier to build a fence before the horse gets out. So that is what I'm proposing. It's not saying that anybody has done anything wrong about that. Not saying that at all. And I'm not saying that there's a problem with secrecy inside our county. I'm not saying that either. But this ordinance would prohibit county officials, employees, and appointees from signing NDAs concerning county business while carefully preserving all the areas where the Indiana law requires or allows confidentiality. It includes protections for employees who refuse to sign an improper NDA, because let's say you're an employee of the county and your supervisor
is pressuring you to sign an NDA. Now you're in a difficult situation. We want to keep our employees from being put in a difficult situation. And it also would require the disclosure of existing NDAs. And provision that any NDA signed in violation of the ordinance would be void and unenforced. So I gave our commissioners the proposed ordinance. I'm just going to read through it real quickly. An ordinance of the Board of Commissioners of Fountain County, Indiana, restricting the use of non-disclosure agreements by county officials, employees, and appointees, and promoting public transparency in county government. Whereas the Indiana Open Door Law, IC 514-1-5, establishes that meetings of public governing bodies shall be open to the public, and that government decision-making shall be conducted transparently. And whereas the Indiana Access to Public Record Act, which is 514-3, establishes a presumption that records of public agencies are open to public inspection and copying with only narrow, specifically enumerated exceptions. And whereas the citizens of Fountain County have a fundamental right to know how their government conducts business, how public resources are committed, and what agreements are entered into on their behalf. And whereas the use of non-disclosure agreements by local officials, employees, and appointees with private parties, developers, and other entities can undermine public trust, prevent meaningful citizen participation in government decision-making, and circumvent the transparency requirements established by Indiana law. And whereas communities across the United States have experienced significant harm when officials have entered into non-disclosure agreements that conceal development proposals, financial commitments, and land use decisions before the citizens whose officials were elected or appointed to serve. And whereas Indiana law already provides specific and limited mechanisms for maintaining confidentiality during certain economic development negotiations, which is IC 514-1.5-1.6 and IC 514-3-4B5, which includes the requirement that the terms of any final offer of public financial resources be disclosed after the negotiations terminate. And whereas the Board of Commissioners of Fountain County find that additional local protections are necessary to ensure that non-disclosure agreements are not used to extend secrecy beyond the Indiana law permits, and to prevent citizens from receiving timely information about matters affecting their community. Now there be it ordained that the Board of Commissioners of Fountain County, Indiana follows Section 1 title, "This ordinance shall be known and may be cited as the Fountain County Government Transparency and Non-Disclosure Agreement Ordinance." Section 2, the definitions as used in this ordinance. A county official means any person elected by county office in Fountain County, includes but not limited to commissioners, county council members, and all other elected county officials as defined by Indiana law. County employee means that a person who receives a salary or wage, other compensation from Fountain County for services rendered in the course of county business, whether full-time, part-time, or contract. County appointee means any person appointed to serve on any board, commission, committee, authority, or other body created by Fountain County ordinance, resolution, or Indiana statute. And such appointment is made by a county official or county governing body. Non-disclosure agreement means any contract, agreement, memorandum of understanding, or other written instrument or any provision within such instrument that restricts, prohibits, or limits the ability of county officials, county employees, county appointees from discussing information to members of the public or other county officials, or to other county governing bodies concerning county business. County business means any matter involving the issue of county resources, the exercise of county authority, the expenditure of commitment of public funds, or the use of disposition of publicly owned or publicly controlled property, land, use decisions within the county's jurisdiction, and any other official action taken on behalf of Fountain County or its citizens. Section 3, prohibition. No county official, county employee, or county appointee acting in their capacity as such shall enter into a non-disclosure agreement with any private person, business, corporation, developer, or other non-governmental entity concerning county business. No county official, county employee, County appointees shall be required as a condition of their service to Fountain County to sign a non-disclosure agreement presented by any private party concerning any proposed or ongoing development project or business transaction involving county business. No county governing body shall authorize, direct, or permit any county official or county employee or county appointee to enter into a non-disclosure agreement concerning county business on behalf of Fountain County. Exceptions. This ordinance does not prohibit or restrict obligations of confidentiality that are specifically required by Indiana state statute or federal law, including but not limited to those enumerated in IC 514.3-4A. The conduct of executive sessions as specifically authorized in IC 514.1.5-6.1, provided that all procedural requirements of that section are met, including proper public notice and past session certification. Protection of individuals' personal records, medical records, or other personal information of county employees or citizens where confidentiality is required or permitted by state or federal law. Confidentiality obligations imposed directly by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation or IC 5-28, but only with respect to the specific application information declared confidential by the IEDC and not extending to any other records, discussions, or decisions of Fountain County government regarding the same project or matter. Attorney-client privilege, as recognized by Indiana law, provided that such privilege is not used to shield from public disclosure information that is otherwise subject to the Public Records Act. Disclosure of existing agreements. Within 60 days of the effective date of this ordinance, each county official, county employee, county appointee who is currently bound by a non-disclosure agreement concerning county business shall disclose and the existence of such agreement to the Board of Commissioners in writing. Disclosure shall be included the date of the agreement, the identity of the other party or parties, and a general description of the subject matter covered in the agreement. The Board of Commissioners shall compile a list of all such agreements and make the list available for public inspection. Void and unenforceable provisions. Any non-disclosure agreement or any provision within a broader agreement entered into violation of this ordinance shall be void and unenforceable against Fountain County and against the county officials, county employees, county appointees acting in their official capacity. No retaliation. No county official or county governing body shall take adverse action against any county employee or county appointee for refusing to sign a non-disclosure agreement that is ordinance prohibits or for the disclosing information that would improperly make subject to a non-disclosure agreement in violation of this ordinance. Enforcement. Any citizen of Fountain County may bring the alleged violation of this ordinance to the attention of the Board of Commissioners, County Council, and the Indiana Public Council. Nothing in this ordinance limits any rights of a citizen to pursue remedies available under IC 514.3-9 or any other applicable law. Severability. Any section, substance, sentence, clause, or provision in this ordinance is found to be unconstitutional or otherwise adopted by a court. Competence jurisdiction, such findings shall not take effect, shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. This ordinance shall take effect upon the adoption and signing of the presiding officers of the Board of Commissioners following the publication as to IC 36-248 and IC 5-1. This is just a working copy for us to start this discussion with. But I think it is a valid discussion, and I think the time has come for it to be done. Because it's much like a lock. I had a pastor when I was a kid growing up. He said, locks only keep honest people honest. And that's all this ordinance I'm proposing is doing. It's just keeping everyone in our government from getting put in a bad situation and making a bad decision. And it also says to businesses that want to come here, it says, we're not saying don't come here. Come, but understand that in Fountain County, we believe in full transparency from the beginning. That's what our citizens demand. And I think that's a good place to be. Because if you've got somebody that's trying to do something shady, they probably aren't gonna wanna come here. Because we're the open, out front and honest county. You know, it's not gonna restrict them from coming here, it just means you're gonna be very upfront about what you're doing. So I just asked for our commissioners to consider this, send it off to our county attorney and have them look through it and schedule some time to revisit this in the future.
Shouldn't this apply to cities and municipalities as well?
Well, that would be up to the county lawyer. I would think it would, I think it should. I think it with great clarity. But how far the county can push that, I don't know. But
That's my question.
But I do think it's a good place to start with us. You know? And as I say to everybody, I'm on the zoning board, okay? If it bothers you, then my grandma used to say, if it bothers you, there must be something that you're doing you shouldn't be doing, so it wouldn't be bothered. You know, to say, yeah, I can sign that, not a problem. So that's all I ask us, let's give it some consideration and let's try again to set the bar for Fountain County to be a little higher than everybody else in the state.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Right.
Harold,
For a BCA meeting or an APC meeting, it's none.
ABC on Thursday.
yes, the APC meetings, Carol, are planning as of right now to be the same Thursday as this meeting. When we have this meeting, just plan the Thursday evening to have an APC meeting.
And your butts, huh?
Ifs, ands, and no ifs, ands, or buts, correct.
That I 6/12.
Yes.
And the BZA has to be put in the newspaper, right?
As far as. Meeting
So
times.
it's gonna be,
They will, I don't think they have a set schedule, because the BZA doesn't need to meet unless they have a reason to, so. Yes, but there will be a public notice when they do have anything, yes, yes.
Does anyone have anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn the commissioners meeting. I'll say it from there. Aye.
Make a motion to close the council portion of the joint meeting? Mr. Carver? Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Todd, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 6-0. The next council meeting will be Monday, July